Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's form building webinar. My name is Nick, and I'll be walking us through the builder today. This is video one of a new form building series where we will be going through the process of updating and building out a complete packet. And today we're actually just going to be talking about editing an existing packet in terms of updating requirements, conditional fields, and even updating paragraph texts. For those in attendance today, if you do have any questions, please hold on to those. I will open up the chat towards the end of the webinar, and if I can answer any of those questions, I am happy to, or if I need to go back over any information, I'm happy to do that as well. But let's get started. When you first log into your account, you'll always find yourself on the Send and Receive page. This will be the page that you send forms out to patients and receive those submissions back. We won't be doing anything from this page today. I just wanted to show you how to get down to the My Forms section just by clicking that My Forms button, which will take you to the My Forms page. This will be the page that all of the packets in your account will exist. And if you need to reorder these for any reason, if you prefer them to be in alphabetical order, or something like that, you just need to click in the blank area on the right side of that packet, and you can click and drag it up or down to position. We only have 2 packets in here now, so it's either above or below. However, if you had multiple, you could put it anywhere you need. If you would like to update the title of the packet, you'll simply need to click the 3 dots on the right side. You can go to Settings, and then you can update the packet name right here in the rename area. You'll also be able to update that through the builder itself as well. And if you do need to edit an existing packet, it's also very simple, just to click those 3 dots and click that Edit Forms button. That's going to take you into step 1 of the builder, which is going to be our Add Forms page. This will give you an opportunity to add any new forms or tabs to the packet, as well as remove any of them that are currently here. If you are removing any packets or any tabs, again, you'll just click those 3 dots, delete, and confirm the deletion. In terms of adding forms to the packet, you can do so using the buttons at the bottom of this list. Your first option is going to be a scratch tab, and this is just going to be a blank area for you to build out a custom form. It will come with a patient name widget, as that will be needed at least once in every packet. The information filled out in the first and last name fields of the patient name widget are going to be the name that submission is logged under. So it's very important to only use that widget with the person whose information you're intending to collect, or the person whose name you want that submission to be saved as in the patient record. We'll save the scratch tab on here so we can take a look at it once we get into the builder so you can see what that looks like. But first we'll go through the rest of these buttons really quickly. Your second option in terms of adding forms to the packet is going to be the template option. This will take you to our template library once you click that button. And in our template library, we have several pre-made forms in terms of single forms, questionnaires, all the way up to packets themselves, which we can just take a look at this physical therapy intake form packet, for example. If you click on the image of any one of these, it will take you to a live preview of the form. And that just means that if we do have any required information as indicated by that red asterisk, if we click past that, we will be notified with that tag. Likewise, for any conditional information, if any information is hidden behind a specific answer selection, we can also see how that's going to work as well. So you can get a feel for how the patient will be interacting with that form and how they'll be using that. You can also use one of these templates as a starting point of getting a complete built form or packet in there, and then just editing out the information you don't need or changing the questions that you like to better reflect your own form. I will say, if you do edit a template, please make sure that there is no conditional information behind any of those questions, just because you don't want to ask or change this question to ask if the patient's on any current medications or has had a surgery or something like that, and they select yes, and all of a sudden they're presented with several insurance questions. So just be wary of that if you are editing templates. The packets will come with multiple tabs within them. So if there is a tab in one of these packets that you like, however, you don't need the other tabs with it, or maybe you need just a couple of them, you can always just delete out the ones that you don't need from that Add Forms page. Once we select that Use Template, we will get all 4 of the tabs within the template packet. We'll have an opportunity to update the tab titles as well. And again, if you don't need any of these, we can just go ahead and delete out the specific ones we won't be using. We won't need any of them today, so we'll just go ahead and get rid of all of them. And we'll move on to the import form function. Another great way to save time is the import form function. If you do have a form, maybe an intake form or a consent form that might find itself in multiple packets, a lot of times the same ones will be used across multiple packets that are asking for slightly different things. You'll only need to build those forms once, and then you can just import a duplicate copy into each subsequent packet. All packets do exist separately, so if the same form is in multiple packets and edits are made to one of those forms, those changes will not be reflected in the other packets. So you will need to update those individually in the other packets as well. If it's something simple like an address or a fee, it might just be easier to go into those packets individually and update that information one by one. However, if you have made extensive edits to, say, an intake form, or you've changed many sections in a consent form or something like that, I would just recommend then importing that newly edited form and then deleting out the old one. Using the import form function will not pull that form out of the other packet. It simply makes a duplicate copy of that form from the other packet. So we can go ahead and select which packet we want to pull from, even the one that we're currently in. It will pull from any, or it will have any live published forms available in this dropdown. So we could select that registration packet, and then we could pull that consent form over. Maybe this is our new edited consent form. We can go ahead and import that, save that tab title, and then we can just delete out the old one that has the previous information in it. We'll have an opportunity to update the order of the tabs once we get into step 2 of the builder. However, before we do that, we'll just talk about our last option here, our convert file option. For all of our Pro Plan and higher accounts, we do offer form conversions by our team. You'll be able to upload a document here, click through and publish that packet. Once that happens, that packet will be sent to our build queue for our team to build that form. Once they do, depending on your notification settings, when they publish the packet, you'll be notified via email. Otherwise, you can keep track of that on the My Forms page, indicated by the icons on the left of the title. If it's got a patient chart icon with the FormDr logo inside, that is a published form that's live and ready to go. If it has a clock icon next to it, that just tells you it's still with our team, still being worked on, or just has not been published yet. But okay, once we have everything set to where we need, maybe we just want to add that scratch tab. Maybe we'll go in and add, a screening form of some kind. We'll go ahead and add our PHQ in here as well. Use that template for teens. All right, let's go ahead and go next to the builder. This is step 2, and this is going to be where you can update any of the elements or questions in the packet. You'll be able to add anything new or reformat or move things around if you so choose. First up, we'll talk about moving the tabs and reordering those. It's as simple as clicking the tab you wish to move and using the left or right arrows to the left, or to the left or right of the tab title itself. So we can move that right back up into that position that it was originally in. And then maybe we want to put our uploads page at the very end to give a little more room to breathe for these other ones. And then we have our PHQ for teens, our template that we've used, and our scratched tab. Again, our scratch tab will only come with that patient name widget, just because this will be necessary at least once in each packet. It doesn't necessarily have to be on every tab. However, it will be needed at least once. All right. If you need to update any information for any of the elements or questions, all you'll need to do is hover your cursor over that element and click that orange pencil icon that pops up for you. Each individual element will have its own orange pencil icon, so if you are updating information of a specific element, you'll just need to go in and click that corresponding icon. We can see that these 3 elements are all in one row. They are in a column widget, which can be found in the formatting tools down at the bottom of the left sidebar. The column widget itself is also an element, so it will have an orange pencil icon for itself. So I only bring that up just so that you're not clicking on this one and wondering why you can't update the information within. This will just control the column options, which will allow you to change the amount of elements per row. And again, if you want to change anything specifically, you'll just need to hover over that specific element. And once you click that icon, it will open it up and you'll be able to change the title, any of the placeholder information, or the short codes in the field name. These will be used for any auto population. So if any of these are the same for any other element, they will act as one. And when one is filled out, the other will be as well. The patient name widget, you'll notice when we open it, we cannot change those short codes. All that to say, this is set and the information is tied to the database. That's why it will come back as the name. So if you send that form out to patient A and patient B enters their name in the first and last name, then that submission will now be logged under patient B's name. So all other names can just be taken with a regular text field. And if you do need to mirror the styling of that patient name, or you want it to look similar, you can just open that up and we can add a couple of inputs here. We can update our placeholder information to be the same. And maybe this says parent name. So we can have a similar styling. However, we won't worry about any auto population happening. If you need to update the requirement of any elements, all you'll need to do is click that orange pencil icon to open it. And then we can just toggle on that required option. Now this question will be required to be completed before the patient submits the form. And just to go through the other toggle options you'll have available as well, you'll be able to align the element right if you so choose. All added elements will default to be aligned left. Hide on print is going to omit this question anytime the form is printed out. So if you are creating blank PDFs to be used in Office, if this is toggled on, this question will not be included. Hide from user is going to omit this question anytime the packet is sent to a patient, so the patient will not see this question. Just to demonstrate this, I do have the cell phone option with the hide from user toggle enabled. Just so we can see this whenever we take a look at the live form, there will just be a blank space taking up here, and we'll have an email and a home phone available on either side that's visible to the patient. So this toggle makes a really good candidate for any office only or staff only information. A lot of times there's a doctor's signature or attorney's signature or something like that the patient, it just comes by and they're on autopilot and they'll sign it. And that can become problematic for you because you needed to sign that. You can always just toggle on. Let's go ahead and find ourselves a signature here. And just to demonstrate this as well, we'll go ahead and update this. Maybe this is doctor signature. And we can go ahead and toggle on that hide from user toggle. Now the patient will not see this at all, and this is hidden. You can even use this feature with any information in a column, so we can hide all of this information if we toggle this on, and we won't even have to go in and update the toggles for each individual element. Just to demonstrate how this works, let's go ahead and publish this. We can go back to the My Forms page and we'll click that live link of the form, the public link. And we can see, as I was mentioning, we do not have a cell phone here because we have that hide from user toggle. And similarly for the signed consent, that whole section at the bottom, because we have hidden that column widget, all of the information within it has now been hidden from the patient as well. If the patient were to submit this, all of that information would be there for you on that completed submission. You'll simply need to go in there on the send and receive page, click that submission, sign or fill out any of that pertinent information, and then click the update button on that submission, and all of that will be updated with no risk of those things being signed or filled out by the patient. We'll go back into the edit forms, back into the builder, and we'll talk a little bit about conditional questions. So conditional questions will hide information behind a specific selection. And another thing to point out, the style page, if we click next to style, This is going to give you an opportunity to update the styling, logo, background color, selection option colors. But what I really like about the style page is that it is also a live preview of your form. So we can see here that our required tags are popping up since we have clicked past. We can also see how that conditional information is going to look. And just to bring I just bring this up to tell you that you won't have to go through and save those changes each time to test something out. You can simply just come to the style page and we can see how that conditional information is going to look for the patient. And if it's not looking, if it's not displaying properly, or if we want to change how that's going to be displayed, we can always just go right back into the builder and update that information from here. So you'll save some time and be a little bit easier in terms of tweaking those fine details. But to edit a conditional question, all you'll need to do is click that orange pencil icon to the left of that selection option question, and then scroll down to the answer selection area. As you can see, these do differ a little bit here. We have 3 that have a show conditional fields link, and 1 that just has an open space that says drag and drop form elements here. This tells us that there is no conditional information behind our 4th option. There is conditional information behind each one of these, and to get to those, to update it, all you'll need to do is click that little link. That will open it up, and this will just save some room whenever you do open up this question, because conditional fields can be as large as you like. You can have entire forms within here if you like. Maybe there's a consent form. You can even break this down to ask, is the patient a minor? And then based on a yes or no response, you could have included on both answers the same information that you need to collect from the patient. However, if the patient is a minor, you can also have maybe a parental consent or something added in there, so you won't have to put that information out for people that won't need it. So you can get really deep with the conditionals, and they'll go as far as your sanity will allow and as far as your creativity will take you. But we can open all of these up. We can look and see how these are displaying. Maybe we want them to be aligned left instead. We can open those up, change the alignment here for each one of these. And then we can go back, click done to close that up, back to the style page, and we can take another look at that. So now we have everything aligned left, which will give them a little bit more room to fill out the information within. And then, of course, our 4th option, our Facebook option, does not have any conditional information behind it, so nothing will populate there. All right, let's go ahead and go back to the builder. And we'll move on over to our consent form, or our consent tab, excuse me. And here we have 3 paragraph elements just in this top area here. Each one of these is an individual widget, which we can move around here. If you do want to move information in position within a column, you can just click and drag it up into position, up or down. Everything will display vertically so you can get it into that specific position, or you can just use the up or down arrows as well to move that information around. All right. And similarly to the other elements, if you need to update any information within a paragraph widget, you'll simply need to click that orange pencil icon that pops up when you hover over it. And from here, this is just a general text editor. So you can come in and bold, unbold, italicize, format however you need. We even have some specific section header sizes as well. So maybe this is section header. And then we can highlight that. And maybe we'll just do header 3, for instance. And so you won't need to set the different sizing for those. You can just select a automatically created template for that. And maybe we want this to be in the middle and give it a little bit room to breathe. And just like the other elements, once you're done here, you can close it up using the Done button, or you can just click that icon again, which is now turned white, and that will close it up and save those changes for you. If we open the paragraph widget back up, you'll notice that it does have the hide on print and hide from user toggles as well. So if you do have any information that you only want visible to your staff, you can also use that functionality here. All right, we'll go ahead and scroll down and we'll talk a little bit about auto-populating into a paragraph just since we're talking about the paragraph widget, you can populate information that has been filled out into a paragraph. And to do so, all you'll need to do is put the shortcode from that widget into a pair of brackets. And so just to demonstrate this as well, we'll go ahead and add a new one. We'll add a pair of brackets, and then we're just going to put down a text field just above here. And we'll go ahead and open that text field up, and maybe the question asks doctor name or something. And we can have the name placeholder here. And then what we can do is just grab this shortcode. Each added element will have a randomized shortcode in it. So we can just grab that shortcode, copy it, and then we're going to paste it into the brackets down below. If we go over to the style page, we can then scroll down, and whatever information we fill out here will be populated into those brackets. You'll notice that it does say name. That is because that is the placeholder information that we do have here. So the placeholder information will populate first, and as you can see here, we have the patient name widget auto-populating into this first paragraph. So we can even fill this out. Nick Webinar test. And we can see that that'll populate into that paragraph widget. Similarly for the doctor's name, Doctor Who, I don't know. And it'll populate into that. So it's very simple. You only need to put those shortcodes into the brackets, and it doesn't necessarily need to be this randomized shortcode. So we can change this to maybe doctor name, something that we can remember in case we have another field that we want to auto-populate later on in the form. That way you don't have to come back to this tab, open this up, grab that shortcode, which you'll never remember, and then put it back over there. We can just change this to something like doctor name or even D name or something like that. We can update our shortcode down here, D name, and then we'll update our placeholder information, say do doctor name. Next to style, we can fill that out. And there you go. So as long as those shortcodes will match, you can absolutely use that auto-population function. Let's go ahead and add another one. And you can get kind of creative with this as well, just to keep on theme here. We'll just do nurse name. Nurse name. And then for this one, we'll do in name. Oops, excuse me. In name. And then for this one, we're going to add an input as well. So maybe this is title. And then we'll just do in title. So you could have multiple of these strung out into a sentence if you wanted. You could have an output create a sentence or a paragraph depending on how you worded that and utilized these. But actually, let's go back up here. We'll change this to D name. And then in title. Just to demonstrate, I know this doesn't make much sense with the topics that I'm using, but that's okay. And so we could have two separate bits of information. Maybe this is needed, but you'll pull a different bit of information later on in the form, and then we could have, doctor, whatever. But the auto-population can be very useful. You can get extremely creative with it in terms of how to use displaying entered information. You can also auto-populate, as I had mentioned briefly earlier, selection outputs as well. For this one, it is a bit different. I will just touch on this before we close up since we are on auto-population, but you are able to use auto-population with the selection options as well. And in terms of this, you will be outputting the selection, and the selection that's made, the value is going to be what is output into the paragraph. So we could say did not. We'll go all caps so that we can see. did not, and then we could have the question say something like the patient did not, take meds. All right, and we'll just change this to be Q1 just for simplicity. And then I'll put it on the same page just below our paragraph, but we could have two different bits of information here. So maybe we have text field, large text field. Maybe we put a rating scale just so they look different. And then in this one, we could put that Q1 so that the selections will stay the same. However, we could have different information populate here. Maybe we're doing multiple checkboxes, and then an upload question for this one. And then we can also put, so the patient Q1 take their meds this week. And so now it will populate the value into that paragraph widget, but will also populate us with different information in that second selection. So if we select yes, patient did take their meds this week. No, they did not. And we also get that, that different information. Oh, did I set this correctly? Oh, this needs to be the same. There we go. And once that's all the same, then we have each selection being the same, presenting different bits of information. So you can have an established question at the top of each packet based on if the patient has made a male or female selection at the beginning of the form, which presents them with different information. I see it used a lot for minors as well as the patient a minor, and then it's presented them with two different sets of information depending on their answer. So you get very creative with this. It's very helpful to use that auto population. And we will have another video coming up down the line where we get a little bit more in depth. That will be next Thursday on February 9th, where we get into deep uses of the autofill function. But all right, once you're done here, let's go back to the style page. The style page, you'll also be able to update any logo files or anything like that. You can use any image file that you do or that you like. We'll use that same file. And that will populate here. If you don't have a logo uploaded, then it will default to your practice name, and the packet title will always be found at the right side of that header. To change your background color, it's in its own section under background. If you do know that hex key, you can enter that directly, or you can just use the color picker to slide around and find something that looks good with that uploaded image, and then you'll be good to go. We have other options here as well in terms of updating the styling of how that form will be presented. And once you have that all set, you'll just need to click that next to publish. And from here, you'll have one more opportunity to update that packet title. I mentioned earlier, you can use the settings method, which might be a little bit faster, and if you don't need to make any other edits. However, if you are making edits, you'll always have an opportunity to update that packet title at the end of the steps in the builder. So we can change that to webinar, just so we can see it changed on our My Forms page. Make sure to click that Save Name button, and then from here you'll just need to click the Finish Building Back to My Account or the My Account button at the bottom right. Either one of these is going to take you back to the Send and Receive page, and that's going to let you know that those changes have been saved and published. That form has now been updated. We have 5 forms now in here instead of the 3 we started with. We have our title updated as well, and then we can click on that public link and see that form has been changed. All right. All right, it does not look like we have any questions today, so that will wrap us up. Just as a reminder, we do host these form building webinars every Tuesday and Thursday at 11:30 a.m. Pacific time. For the month of February, we are doing a form building series that will all kind of be tied together and building out as we go along. We will stick with the beginner and advanced styles for Tuesdays and Thursdays. We'll just get a little bit more in to the complicated things on on the Thursday ones. But if you would like to see the schedule for that, all you'll need to do is go to the My Account section, click that support tab, and go to our guide. You can find the schedule in the FormDr Updates February 2023 webinar schedule, and scroll on down. We have all of that information right here for the schedule of what we'll be talking about for each one of those webinars. So please, if you do have anybody else that you want to learn this information, we will be posting these online as well in case you are unable to make any of them. But please bring any and all staff members that you want to learn this. These are all free. We encourage people to join as often as they like. And on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, we host onboarding webinars where we go through general use of the account, updating administrator information, updating users, sending forms. We'll go through a test submission as well. And those will be held at 10:30 a.m. Pacific time on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So thank you very much for joining us today. Hope to see you all again very soon, and hope you have a great afternoon.